China's economic outlook is quite interesting right now, with both positives and some hurdles.
The recent data really tells a story.
It does.
China's industry did better than expected in November.
You're talking about that 5.4% growth year on year, right?
Exactly. Many analysts didn't think they'd see numbers like that. It shows resilience.
And it's not just industry. Retail sales are up too.
Oh, absolutely. A 4.38 trillion yuan increase year on year is not insignificant.
It suggests that consumers are starting to spend again. That's key for a real recovery.
I agree. And we can't forget about the service sector. It's showing strength too.
Especially those tech-driven areas.
Right. When you look at information transmissions, software, IT services, that whole area grew by 9.3% year on year.
It really shows how China's adapting to the changing world. Innovation is driving that growth.
It is. And then there's fixed asset investment. It's been steadily growing.
That's a good sign for the long term?
It is. It means businesses are investing in tangible assets like infrastructure, property, and machinery. They're making big commitments based on a positive outlook.
All of this is encouraging.
It is. But we need to be realistic about the complexities.
You're talking about the external environment and domestic demand.
Precisely. China's facing a tough global landscape, and they are dealing with insufficient demand at home.
It definitely highlights the need for careful policy decisions.
I completely agree. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate it all. But so far, the government is taking a proactive approach to supporting the economy.
What have you noticed in terms of their policy approach?
Well, for one, they're implementing a moderately loose monetary policy.
So they're managing the money supply and interest rates to try to stimulate economic activity.
Exactly. The idea is to make it easier for businesses to borrow money and encourage investment.
That makes sense. And on the fiscal side, what are they doing?
They're also being proactive there. We can expect to see more government spending aimed at boosting demand and creating jobs.
So a two-pronged approach, using both monetary and fiscal policy.
Exactly. They are using all the tools at their disposal to support the economy.
And they seem to be quite serious about it, especially considering that record budget deficit they have planned for 2025.
Oh, absolutely. That shows they're willing to spend to ensure economic recovery. It's a substantial commitment.
It's a bold move for sure. It will be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
It will, but, even with all the challenges, China has some serious strengths going for it.
Like what?
Well, for starters, their domestic market is massive.
That's definitely a huge advantage.
It is. It provides a buffer against global shocks and offers a diverse range of opportunities for businesses.
And their economy has a history of resilience.
It does. They've weathered storms before. Plus, they have a good track record when it comes to macroeconomic management.
That definitely gives them some credibility and should inspire some confidence.
I agree. And their commitment to innovation and technological advancement is also significant.
We're talking AI, renewable energy, all of that.
Exactly. They're positioning themselves for long-term growth by investing in the industries of the future.
All things considered, it seems there's a reason for cautious optimism about China's economic future.
I'd say so. There are definitely challenges, but they also have a lot going for them. And the government seems determined to do what it takes to support growth.
It's a complex situation, for sure, but it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds in the coming months and years.
It will be. The global economy will be watching closely. And it'll be particularly interesting to see how individual industries and businesses adapt. It's important to remember, though, that China's economic recovery will also have global implications.
Definitely. China's a major player in the global economy. What they do affects everyone.
As China's demand increases, we could see a positive impact on commodity prices and global trade.
That could actually help mitigate some of the economic pressures other countries are facing.
Exactly. But even with the positive signs, there are still challenges ahead for China.
Like what? What are you keeping an eye on?
Well, the property market is one area that needs attention.
It's been struggling for a while now.
It has, and it's a significant sector of their economy. Addressing those challenges like the high levels of debt and the unsold properties is going to be critical.
And then there's the local government debt.
Right. That's another potential risk factor.
It's accumulated quite a bit over the years.
It has. Managing that debt is crucial for their long-term fiscal sustainability.
Absolutely. And even though there's been some encouraging signs, consumer demand still needs a boost.
That's key for a robust and sustained recovery.
So those are some of the internal challenges. What about the external environment?
Well, that's always a bit of a wild card. Global trade tensions and geopolitical risks can have unpredictable effects.
Especially for an export-oriented economy like China's.
Exactly. Navigating those external pressures will be a real test of their resilience.
It will be. But despite those challenges, China also has some significant strengths.
It does. Their massive domestic market is a huge advantage.
It definitely provides a buffer against external shocks.
And it reduces their reliance on external demand. It's a huge market with a lot of opportunity.
And then there's the government's track record of effectively effective macroeconomic management.
That's a big plus. It gives businesses and investors a certain level of confidence.
It does. They know the government has the experience and the willingness to make adjustments when needed.
Exactly. And let's not forget about China's ongoing commitment to innovation and technology.
That's key for long-term growth.
It is. They're investing in artificial intelligence, renewable energy, all sorts of cutting-edge industries.
They're really trying to stay ahead of the curve.
They are. And I think that combined with those proactive policy measures we talked about earlier gives some reason to be cautiously optimistic about China's economic future.
I agree. There are risks, of course, but the potential is there too.
Exactly. It's a fascinating situation to watch unfold, especially with the possibility of Donald Trump returning to the White House.
That adds a whole other layer of complexity.
It does, especially given the potential for increased tariffs on Chinese imports.
That could create a lot of uncertainty.
It could, but it seems that Chinese leaders are already preparing for that possibility.
Well, they've set a record budget deficit for 2025.
They have. 4% of GDP is a significant number.
It definitely shows they're committed to mitigating any negative impacts from those potential trade tensions.
They're trying to bolster domestic demand and maintain stability. They're aiming for a steady growth rate of around 5% while using that increased deficit to fund additional stimulus measures.
It's a balancing act for sure, trying to manage internal stability while navigating external pressures.
It is, and it'll be interesting to see how they prioritize their spending.
Their focus seems to be on strengthening domestic demand and making sure key sectors can withstand any shocks from global trade fluctuations.
Makes sense. They're promoting domestic consumption, investing in strategic industries, enhancing the competitiveness of domestic businesses.
It's all about reducing reliance on external demand and building a strong internal economy.
Exactly. And then there's the issuance of those off-budget special bonds.
That's an interesting strategy.
It gives them more flexibility in responding to challenges. It allows them to fund stimulus measures without directly impacting the official budget deficit.
So they can address specific economic needs while still maintaining a certain level of fiscal discipline.
It shows a recognition of the need for ongoing investment in infrastructure and other growth-driving initiatives.
Infrastructure is key for supporting economic growth. It improves connectivity, enhances productivity, creates jobs. It's an investment in the future.
And when you combine that increased fiscal spending with the shift towards a more accommodative monetary policy, it sends a clear message
that the government is prepared to act.
Exactly. They're using both fiscal and monetary tools to create a supportive environment for businesses and consumers.
It's a comprehensive approach aimed at promoting economic activity and ensuring stable and sustainable growth.
It is. And while their focus is on domestic resilience, they're also keeping an eye on the exchange rate.
Maintaining stability there is important.
It is. It's crucial for managing inflation and ensuring Chinese exports remain competitive.
A stable exchange rate provides certainty for businesses, reduces price volatility, and helps keep inflation in check.
Exactly. And that appropriately loose monetary policy stance gives the central bank the flexibility to manage things.
They can adjust interest rates and the money supply as needed to maintain that balance.
It's a delicate balancing act. They're juggling domestic needs with global financial complexities.
It's a lot to manage. But their decisions will have far-reaching consequences, not just for China, but for the entire global economy.
The world will be watching closely as China's economic policies unfold in the coming year. It's a lot to think about.
It is. As we wrap up our look at China's economic outlook, I think it's important for all of us to consider the potential impacts.
On a personal level, even.
Absolutely. Whether you're directly involved in an industry that's connected to China or just thinking about your own investments.
China's economy affects everyone in some way. Understanding what's happening there can help us make better decisions.
It can. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the latest economic data to the government's policy responses and the challenges they're facing.
Both internally and externally.
Right. But hopefully this discussion has given everyone a clearer picture of what's happening in China's economy.
And what it might mean for the future.
Exactly. Because things are changing rapidly.
They are. It's a dynamic situation. But it's a fascinating one to watch unfold.
It is. And that's what makes it so important to stay informed and engaged.
I agree. The more we understand about what's happening in the world, the better equipped we are to navigate it.
Well said. Thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, as always.
The pleasure was all mine. I always enjoy these conversations.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We hope you found this discussion insightful.
And we hope it's given you some food for thought.
Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.